Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a bit of a closer look at one of the weapons that I showed you in the last video, the super powerful underwater TNT cannon. Now that probably was a bit confusing if you didn't watch the last video. The cannon is actually in the whale. Just go watch the last video, it'll make more sense then. Before we get started, I wanted to quickly point out I now have a Twitter and a Discord for this channel that you can join. The links will be in the description, and I will just be posting stuff like channel announcements and sometimes sneak peeks, and also the occasional excuse when I haven't posted in 3 weeks or so. Contained within the whale is quite the powerful TNT cannon. Let's just go ahead and set it off just so you can see for yourself. So everything is set off, and anyone know? Tower is destroyed. I mean, some serious business. I mean, imagine if whales, instead of blowing out water, they blew explosives at your house. So yeah, as you can probably tell, this is a pretty good weapon. I mean, if you have a decently sized underwater base, you can put it in there, or if you're good at terraining, which I am definitely not, you could hide it up so that no one will even really be able to tell that it's there. At least, that is, until it's destroyed your base over 50 blocks away. But there is a small issue that someone who doesn't really understand redstone probably has no idea what's going on here and wouldn't be able to build this on their own. So if you plan to build this on your own, this video is for you. I'm going to be showing you exactly how to set this thing up. So if you're building this in survival mode, here are all of the materials you're going to need to complete the build. The first thing you want to do is find a somewhat shallow area of the ocean, so you'd want to build it up here and not exactly down there. So we're going to start this thing off by towering up 3 blocks like this and placing a piece of soul sand. So the next thing you want to do is find the object you want to target with your cannon. In my case, it's this brick wall over here. And what we're going to do is go ahead and put another piece of soul sand facing the opposite direction of the object. Then pick a side of the soul sand and go ahead and go out by 1 and 2 up, and then another 2 and break everything below those. And we're just going to repeat that on the other side. Now I'm just using brick, so you can use basically any block here. Next we're going to go to the back piece of soul sand, and we're going to put a note block right here and go ahead and break that block. And then we're going to place an observer facing down on the note block right here, going into an immovable object or just a non-sticky object. I'm just using terracotta for this. Next, what you're going to do is going to have a dropper next to your non-sticky object. It doesn't really matter which direction the dropper is facing, but we're going to have an observer facing up at the dropper, and that's going to have a sticky piston facing away from the note block below it, and a block of redstone next to it like this. Go ahead and put a temporary block on the block of redstone, and then we're going to have a sticky piston right here, which we're going to turn around to face that temporary block, and we'll also have an observer right here facing, facing the piston like this. And that's going to have a dropper facing this way next to it. And we're also going to have a sticky piston facing this way, and go ahead and break that temporary block. Go to the dropper and go ahead and fill it up with random blocks. It doesn't really matter what's in it. And then you're going to take a whole lot of blocks and go ahead and put 1 in front of the dropper, 1 right here on all sides of it. And then break the bottom block and break this block so there's an air block right where the dropper is facing. And then go ahead and build up 2 right here and place a big drip leaf plant right on top of that. Next what we're going to do is have an observer facing into the big drip leaf plant, and that's going to have a sticky piston facing this way, which is going to have an observer on its face facing that way, and there will be a sticky piston diagonal from that, and that's also going to have an observer on its face facing this way, and that is going to have a block on the back. On top of that block we're going to add a hopper, and that's going to have an observer facing the hopper on top of it. And on top of that is going to be another non-sticky object, and also an observer facing the other observer, and that's also going to have a hopper on the back of it. And this one's also going to have an observer facing upwards with another non-sticky object next to a sticky piston with 3 slime blocks on its face like this. And with that, the actual firing mechanism is complete. The cannon is actually fully functional, so if we go ahead and launch everything off, the TNT goes launching as normal. However, we still need to do the resetting circuit. So to set up the resetting circuit, we're going to have a slime block right here, and we're going to have an observer on the back of that slime block facing this way, going into a non-sticky block. Another thing we need to do is from the bottom of this observer, place a temporary block and a sticky piston facing this way, and that is going to have an observer right here facing upwards. And that is also going to go into a block right here. And that's actually the full cannon all complete. So you can now place in a couple pieces of TNT, and if we've set up everything right, they're all going to launch off, and eventually, if we wait a little bit, this thing is going to reset itself, and there it goes. We can place in another few pieces of TNT, and everything will work forever. So right now it can only launch TNT, however, if we want it to launch TNT minecarts as well, what we're going to do is place an activator rail on this block right here, and place a block right in front of it too. And now we can put a bunch of minecarts with TNT on that, and a piece of TNT on the other side. And we can go ahead and launch this thing off with all the TNT minecarts. And there it goes. And eventually it'll all reset itself too, and the activator rail will get pulled back so we can put more TNT minecarts. Now if you want to switch back to just regular TNT, just break this and you can put it back anytime. Now just make sure the activator rail is facing towards the soul sand and is not facing this way, otherwise it's not going to work properly. Now there is still a slight issue that even if we have a ton of TNT minecarts right here, we're still not going to actually destroy our target. And that's because the TNT is just going to be launching off into the middle of nowhere. In order to fix that, we're going to go to the block that we have the TNT on, go ahead and tower up, and we're going to, from the surface, go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then have a block right here, and break all of the rest of the blocks. And then, if we go ahead and place in a whole ton of TNT minecarts right here, this should be enough right about now. And another piece of TNT on this side, and go ahead and launch this thing off. If I've done everything right, then we should blow a hole right in the wall. So if you are building this for yourself and you have any problems or something goes wrong or you just have a question in general, let me know in the comments, because I do read all my comments and I'll reply to you if you do have anything you want to bring up. But that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and for now, goodbye.